Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Anything Goes with Anna Rose. And I have my favourite guest back.
She says I'm her favourite.
You're my favourite. Let me give you a proper introduction because I feel like I've been trying to do that with some other guests. But you are one in a million, the kindest, most thoughtful, most brilliant, most provisional, most sexy motherfucker king of the world, Ryan Patricevich. Welcome back to the Anything Goes podcast.
Thank you for having me again. I was just funny. I was looking at myself at the screen. I was like, if someone was to watch the progression during YouTube, it'd look like you've got 7 different boyfriends.
Just the way I like it.
I look different every time I come on your show.
You switch it up.
Yeah.
I like it. And also I will say that he was not prepared. You're always prepared, but
I live with you, baby. You got to be prepared for everything, no matter what happens.
But I just jumped off recording with Adam, who was incredible. You sat in for that, which I loved. And then I said to you, do you know what? Let's just sit and record the next one because the next one was planned to be us and an IVF update. And I thought, I've got makeup on. I can switch my shirt. This is New Talk Collective, by the way, guys.
Well, we were meant to do it on Friday, but we ended up going up to Brisbane for my birthday on Friday. And yeah.
There are 24 years.
Life lived, and we were too busy having fun with it. So there you go.
There you go. All right. So we are sitting down today. There is no time limit on this podcast. It will be what it will be. Strap in, because you can't rush a story, essentially. And we are sitting to talk about the IVF update, where we're at with everything. The last time we did this, I had just gotten out of the grief bubble of Sorry, baby. We had gotten out of the grief bubble of losing Zeus. I couldn't sit at the time. And it was just like one of those moments in life where I obviously am taking you on the journey. I was fully on my Instagram, but when we sat down to record that, we literally had just done all the injecting, done the transfer, lost the embryo, lost Zeus. And I sort of rushed through it all because there was just so much that had happened. And we were updating from that place of like, then we did a transfer, but. And so
we were riding through it all, like from the start to the finish, and where we were going with it, we could have sat there for another 3 hours explaining it because so much happened to us in such a short window. It was like anything that you thought would happen didn't happen. Whatever you thought was going to happen was the opposite.
Yeah.
And our journey was just like, wow. So it's good. This time round, like now we're going back into it again. We seem a bit more calm. Stuff's kind of back into its flow. So this time should be a lot, let's say, freer.
Hopefully. No, I trust implicitly that it will be. But really certainly I wanted to sit down today, but I always love having you on, especially because it is an us journey, is to share the actual kind of like the fuckery, essentially, of what we have experienced. Now, I want to give it some context and I want to give it a preface. Obviously, absolutely mentioning doctors' names. Dr. Ki Ung is who we have been with. Although we've had a bad experience, he's not a bad man at all. He is one of the kindest,
No, not at all.
like busiest. He's done so much for the profession. Like this is not a attack whatsoever on him at all. But why I actually really wanted to have this conversation, firstly, when I unpacked it with the besties who were very emotional and like honestly basically became speechless, I suppose, when it was like thing after thing after thing after thing. They really pushed me. They were like, you have got to sit down and actually like share this story from start to finish. Like people need to know like more of just how, I suppose, badly handled our case has been in essence. But also I did share that we have switched doctors. We have switched doctors now. We're still with Monash as a lab.
We haven't shared on the podcast, but you do share on your line. On your line.
Yeah, on your line. On your line.
On the line.
On the line. So we have switched doctors, which is going to be part of, well, that's kind of the start of this. And you can start there and then I'll unpack from like the start. But what I want to say is I did share online that we have switched doctors. We are, but it's really like my vagina's journey now. Like Dr. Tina Fleming And I feel so good about that decision. But I did share that I'd switched from Dr. Ong. And why we were with Dr. Ong, this is kind of the beginning, was because we were told from multiple people, and upon researching it, he is, quote unquote, the best in Australia. And he is, to his absolute credit, he is the doctor you go to when you have had, you know, multiple failed transfers, and so many women have incredible miracle stories with working with him. The problem actually became we never got him because he's on leave so often these days, and good on the brother.
Yeah.
Like
the last
the brother
one,
needs a break.
the last one, so that we'll
Don't
unpack
jump
it
ahead.
later.
Okay.
But he was actually on leave to go to a course to better himself.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a we're going on holidays.
Yeah, I'm off
he's
again.
fucking
Catch
off.
you later.
See you later. I'm in Hawaii.
Yeah.
He was actually off to better his profession and
Correct.
his skill set. And to everyone else that gets him, fucking awesome. But for us, that threw us in a bit of another turmoil. So
Yeah. So
we'll unpack that later.
So credit to the brother. Brother needs a break. Like I said that to the nurses. I've said that to multiple times in appointments. Like I fully respect and get it. But what I believe is that there needs to be more honest reviews of the handling of that office at the moment, which is like he has taken on too many cases, in my humble, non-educated opinion. I think to help more women, I get it, but inadvertently, he's not. He's absolutely not. So because you are feeling forgotten, you're not feeling looked after, you barely deal with him, you are absolutely just a number. He literally runs into and runs out of, and I mean like the man runs the room, and just so much mismanagement occurred in my case, which I'm going to share. And what happened was I said I was moving doctors unabashedly because I share my life, and tens and tens of women came forward and said, oh my God, thank fuck someone's basically like finally telling the truth. Like I was with him. I had a really bad experience as well, and no one fucking talks about it because he is so beloved and well known and respected on the Gold Coast. And I love that for him. And this isn't going to change it. I just will never gaslight myself out of the fucking truth and my story. And so here is my story with my very first IVF cycle and experience.
Well, do you remember where we left it last time?
Well, we had shared the whole story.
We had just miscarriaged and
yes,
ended up out of hospital, and we lost our first transfer. That was through a
bubbles.
fresh cycle.
We called them
Little bubbles. So we got, which was really nice. So when you get your embryo and they put it in, they actually give you a photo of your embryo. And we still have that up on our fridge. And we nicknamed it Bubbles. So that was our first embryo that tried, Bubbles.
We had little bubbles inside.
Yeah, so we then had to
well,
wait.
no, what I'm going to do, so what had happened was we basically we got to that point, we'd miscarried, and then it was like, okay, now we're going to go for the second transfer. So what I want to do is actually go back now and kind of from the start share the issues that I came up against in IVF. So rehash, because we never said it. We were like, oh, we've had our first appointment, and then it was kind of done. But now I want to unpack that. And then when I had to be hospitalised the day after transfer, we were like, oh, and then I went into hospital. But anyway, I want to unpack that and the conversation that we had with Monash that I was completely gaslit in. You know, like that's what went out. So we're actually kind of going back to reshare. Do you remember me? You probably weren't listening. Did you hear me talking to Shani and Lozzie on the weekend in Yamba when I was like fully unpacked? I think you were next to me.
I was probably there and probably unawares. So
There, but
very,
unaware.
very like Ryan. So
Because ultimately, like the next full IVF update will be the story from now onwards. Like it will be like, yes, okay, because we have had our appointment with Dr. Tina, our initial consult, and now we're going to go for our second transfer in.
yeah.
Do you want to say it?
Oh, and what month are we in now? May. So we missed our May window.
Yeah.
So we were going to go in May, which would have been phenomenal because when we did all our mathing with the nurse at the time, implantation would have been on the 7th of May. So it would have been on my birthday. So it would have been...
Birthday baby.
Yeah, birthday baby. So when we talked to our kids later on, it's like, yeah, you were conceived on my birthday, which is fun.
Literally.
So now we missed that window because of obviously
Absences from the doctor.
and why we are moving. So we missed that window and had to wait till next month now. So next month it's going to be go, go, go. So I'm looking forward to it. So
I said this morning, putting my shoes on, I was like, I'm going to be pregnant next month. And you go, baby, you're going to be pregnant for 10 fucking months.
And then you're like, I know, but I'm actually going to get pregnant. So
I'm getting pregnant next month. That's the manifestation. Yeah. All right. So let's start at the beginning where we had our initial consult with Dr. Ung. And
Dr.
we were.
Ung or Monash?
No, Dr. Ung.
Yeah. Okay.
Dr. Ung. And we were away. We were at Black Cabins. Mm-hmm. And I remember my beautiful girlfriend, Alicia, who was also with him. She has also left, but was with Dr. Ung. She had said to me after the fact, but she'd said to me, you know, don't mind that he'll rush you on and he'll rush you off. Obviously, he's really busy. And, you know, if you have any questions, you can ask me, because she'd been with him for a little while. And it was funny because we'd already had our appointment. And I said to her, I was like, oh, no, we had a 40-minute appointment.
Yeah, our first phone call was good.
No, I was crying after, because it was good. It was a 40-minute appointment. I'm grateful we had his time. But, and you'll remember this.
Yeah, he was saying that you probably got endo and blah, 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 without even seeing you or knowing any reports.
Correct.
Freehand.
So I got pissed off straight away, because I get on this Zoom, the best, you know, in Australia. And this is where the gaslighting, I just want to talk. I'm like, I will do a lot of talking on this podcast, but because it was predominantly my experience. Mm-hmm. So haters that are like, let the man speak. Go follow Ryan on Instagram.
He posts nothing, so
you'll
get exactly the same on there.
But I jumped on it. Alicia was so shocked. I remember she was like, what? Like, I think we got 5 or 10 minutes or whatever. And I said, oh, no, babe. It's only because I literally spent 40 minutes debating the guy about my body and my periods. And she's like, what do you mean? And so basically, like, this was step one of being gaslit in IVF, that I feel like we had jumped on, and I basically got told from the get-go, like, and I love straightforwardness. Let me tell you, in IVF, I love straightforward doctors. I don't like beating around the bush. Like, I know I'm fucking old. I'm 38, right? So in the IVF world, they say you're old, you're geriatric, rah, rah, rah. I don't really give a fuck about any of that. You can call me old, call me geriatric, but also don't tell me what I do and don't have from a health perspective when you haven't looked at my vagina, looked at my uterus, or asked me pertinent questions about my actual periods.
Do you know what I think the problem is with it all? That doctors think once you get into IVF that it is all the woman's fault. And
Correct.
The only reason why we were in IVF is because I had the snip. I'd had 2 unsuccessful reversals, and that's the only reason why we were in IVF, because we can't get pregnant naturally because there is a literal blockage stopping my swimmers from meeting your eggs. But when the doctors get women into IVF, they're like, well,
it's
you got
all
endo.
our fault.
You got endo, and he's like, 80% of women that come in here have got endo, and you might not know you've got it, and you're like, no.
I know I don't. And I was like, well, I know I don't. And he was like, but you don't. I was like, but Dr. Ong, I do.
Yeah.
Like, I actually do. And then he'd spend 5 minutes telling me and explaining why I do. And I was like, but I don't. And I respect that, but also, but. So we were kind of like debating. And this honestly should have been the first red flag, because I got off that first 40-minute conversation and I cried. We were on the bed and you were like, how are you feeling? And I think I was sad because, yeah, I was in IVF, but I also was like, I fucking hate getting gaslit. Mm-hmm. Like, this is like the biggest trigger for me. And so I was like, I just feel gaslit. Like, he was telling me that I had endometriosis. And I was like, well, you actually don't get to say that as a doctor. And he sort of then debated respectfully from ad hominem, like, well, I'm the doctor, so I know best. And I was like, but actually you haven't even looked inside my body and I have perfect periods. Well, it doesn't matter, because most girls have silent endometriosis, and here are the statistics. Cool, and that's good for most women, but I'm telling you that I don't, right? So it just went on and on like that for like 40 minutes. first of all, it also took 3 months to get that call because he is so busy. So we were already delayed in the process because we were told we had to have Dr. Ong. So we went on this freaking wait list. We waited 3 months. We had our appointment. That was then our first appointment. So from the jump, I was a little hurt.
Yeah, but once you're in with them, you're in with them. So then
you don't wait.
once you get your period and that, then you just call up with Monash and that. But it is, if you want to get on the wait list for 80% of the IVF doctors, it is a long period to get in.
No,
but then once you're in with
Fleming,
them,
we got in like 2 weeks.
we got in lucky with Dr. Fleming.
We got in very lucky. Sometimes it is.
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
All right.
We did. We got in lucky, like, because when we rang, like, they're like, oh, it might be a couple months, and then they're like, oh no, you know, okay, yeah, we'll squeeze you.
Yeah, we're very grateful. So that happened, and then you can tell the story because I think it's more powerful coming from you. So then we begin the process. Oh, so no, actually, we're then on retreat. We did unpack this a little bit on the last podcast, but we're on retreat. I get my period, so we're off and away. We have to start injecting. We've already picked up our meds. Everything's going fine. The clinic knew exactly. Sorry, actually, backing up. We were going to pull the trigger. So that appointment with Dr. Ong was in October. We were in a protocol that he supported. He was like, okay, well, you know, I don't think you need to. You're in IVF, but like I respect it. And we were like, awesome. We also don't really care about a medical opinion for a naturopathic protocol. Like, but thanks, bro. So then we were on the protocol, but then we decided, we were like, let's do this. Let's just go for IVF. Like, we don't need to wait. Like, we're healthy, etc. We can go alongside this protocol. And we tried to go in November.
We tried to go straight away. We're like, we'll pull the trigger. And then they sent us through the holidays and they're actually like, sorry, Dr. Key's away, so we won't be able to do it then. And they're like, oh, well, we'll finish this protocol. No big drama.
So first it was, we were going to go November, looked at his away dates. He was away. Then we were going to go, so we were like, all good, oh well, drats, like what a shame, how frustrating, but oh well. Then we were going to go in December. We were like, let's go. Let's like have a December baby.
Have a Christmas baby.
And he had, and fair enough, December, it's Christmas. Take some time. Like, I sort of put that one away. Like, of course. I will also say he didn't take all of December off. And honestly, I do think the universe was trying to show me from the get-go he was not my doctor, because literally when he is away, it's usually like a week at a time. So he'll take like a week every month at this point off. It is literally every single time when I'm ovulating. He also can't help that. So that's not his fault. So that was occurring though. So in December, there was like 3 weeks that we could have done it, but the week he had off was the week that we would have needed.
Yeah.
It would have been like whatever part of my cycle, basically, that I needed him. That's fine. So then we were going to do January, which is when we did, right? So we were delayed twice, but. So then we call, you can tell this story. So I get my period, we're so excited, we have the drugs, it's late January, and we call the clinic.
So we called the clinic and we're like, we're day one, we're ready to go, we're pulling the trigger, and they're like, oh, okay, sweet, well, come in, we'll get your blood tests done, they'll get us on all the meds and that. It'll look like, so you'll come in, get your bloods done, you'll pick up your meds for all your injections and that, and then after that, we'll come and get your egg retrieval and then everything else. And they're like, cool. And then got off the phone with them, all good, got the email, and then the email's like, well, Dr. Ong's away from this date to this date. So previously, the year before, we had the date, so we knew which dates he was away.
Yeah.
Come this new year, we had no idea, but we called up. And again, he was away from literally that week we needed him. So the week that we were there to retrieve the eggs and then re-implant, he was going to be away.
So I come in from like a yoga session or whatever I was doing on retreat, and it was so exciting. Ryan was like, I have to talk to you, and pulled me aside. We've unpacked this. But he was like, Key's away. And I just remember honestly being like, are you kidding me? Like, my retrieval is in 2 weeks. So the clinic's giving us 2 weeks notice. And I said to Ryan, I was like, was this on the phone conversation? He was like, no, because you'd already spoken to them. We'd conversed.
Yeah.
Everything was exciting. I go to do facilitation down in the shower, like the yoga thing. And I came back and you were like, I've got this email. I need to talk to you. And you pulled me aside and you were like, he's away. And I was like, I fucking again, first of all. But again, man deserves a break. He's given his life to like fertility and IVF. But I was like, did they tell you that on the phone? Like, how are we only finding this out? And you were like, they sent it in an email. And that really pissed me off because I was like, well, hang on. If we're paying a private practice, because you can go public in IVF, by the way, a heightened fee, Dr. Ong is more expensive than most clinics because it's Dr. Ong. Then why the fuck are we finding out about this via email? The nurses should be telling you when you call to say, I'm on day one. They know he's away. They just don't want to have the hard conversation because it's a hard conversation to have. So that really pissed me off. I moved through that.
Yeah, but I had already rung them. So after I got the email, I rang them and I was like, what's going on? I'm like, I know my partner's like, I've explained it to them, like, we've already postponed it twice pre this because of the holidays. It's like we did not get any pre-warnings of this. We let people know that we were like before that, so we rang them earlier saying that we're ready to go in January, and we gave them the approximate dates, and then they told us nothing then either, and they would have had the holiday dates then.
Totally, because it was Chinese New Year. He's Chinese, so. Because they said that. They're like, oh, it's Chinese New Year. And I was like, and good on for him. Like, and I'm super happy for him and he deserves that time. But then I was like, but now I have a problem with you nurses that you're not having that hard conversation when we call because I'm now in this. I've started to inject. What do we do? And then they were like, well, you have a different doctor. Ung can sort of like manipulate the hormones essentially, so he will be here for your retrieval, which I also think could have played a part in the overstimulation. I had overstimulation. That's now. Who else told me that the other day? It
was Dr. Fleming.
Dr. Fleming was like, you had overstimulation. Like it's just that's what I said. I think I had hyper overstimulation. So. And that's anyway. Oh, the whole thing just so they said, oh look, because we were pretty upset. We were like, look, we've already delayed it twice. We respect he wants time away. That's fine, but we weren't told. We've been given 2 weeks notice, less than actually. I think it was like 10 days. Blah 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 blah. And then they were like, look, we'll speak to Dr. Ung. They went away and they came back and they said, oh well, it'll be fine. We'll be able to do your egg retrieval. We'll make sure that we'll do your egg retrieval when Ung is here, so he can at least do that part, which I felt good about. But another doctor will have to do your transfer. And I was like really upset about that, obviously, but I was like, okay.
Because we'd already postponed it twice, we're just like,
I was like, I'm not fucking delaying it again.
Delaying it again. It's like we're ready to go. It's like, and we come to the conclusion, we're like, well, maybe this is the sign, like maybe this is how it was meant to be.
Yeah.
So we're like, we surrendered to it and we kept going. And, yeah, obviously we all know the story, how that ended.
So then what is it? Let go or let God? So we let go and surrendered and did all the things. So this is 2 days after, so we have that call. I then am going in for my internal, it's actually not an internal. You go in for your first ultrasound just to make sure like everything's doing what it's meant to.
Make sure that your eggs are egging.
Yeah, my eggs are egging. And a blood test. So that's on day 2 of an IVF cycle. So we go in, I get a text the night before, I emailed communications about that and it tells me to have an empty bladder. And I was like, amazing. And when you're in IVF, you have to understand, like you don't understand it until you've done it, but you are so sensitive. Like it is a vulnerable, I'll get emotional, like it is even before you put a needle in, it's a very vulnerable, emotional time. Like it just is. Like what's ahead, just, the fun and the joy and the romance is taken out of the most precious, exciting time of your life. So everything feels essentially like a big deal. So I get my text to say bladder empty and abide by that rule. And we get in on day 2 for the scan.
And you're A-type too, so you're like,
I'm
Not
fucking
drinking anything.
So
I gotta be empty.
Yeah, I literally like dehydrated myself. We go in early and I'm feeling pretty like I'm feeling pretty sensitive. I'm feeling pretty like high strung because I'm like, this is my first time getting all my tests and stuff like on day 2. I'm about to start injecting. Actually, it was day 3. And so we go in, literally runs into the room. It's the first time we've properly met him because they encourage Zoom the first time because obviously he is so busy, so can just like jump in and off Zoom. So this is actually the very first time we've met him. He literally sprinted into the room. Like he was not there and then he was there and we were like, oh, hi. And he's like, yep, grabs the file off the nurses, like doesn't really engage. And he's just like, have you got a full bladder? And I was like, no. And I'm like, fuck me, this is a lot. Like this is very
you're like, are we doing the right thing? And what's that going on?
And I go, no, Dr. Ong, I have an empty bladder. And he was like, well, why do you have an empty bladder? And I said, because your clinic told me to. And he was like, no, we didn't. So I started to get really upset and pissed off because I was like, so I just hold my ground. And I was like, yes, you did.
Yeah, I got a text message saying to come with an empty bladder, and he's like, "No, we wouldn't have sent that."
He goes, "No, you couldn't have."
Who sent that? Was it Monash or was it from me and like from his clinic? And then Anna's like, "From your clinic, like from Keong."
And he goes, "Well, can I see that message?" And I said, "Absolutely." So I get the message up. I'm trying not to cry. I think I had started to cry at this point. Like I'm just feeling, and I remember saying like, is it going to be okay? Like, have I fucked my whole cycle now? Like, is this all right? Like, I'm sitting pantsless, literally with my pussy out on the bed, and he's standing there, like, going through my phone. And then I'm like, is this going to be okay? And he was like, yeah. Like, he kind of brushed it off because he's like, wants to get to the bottom of this.
Yeah.
Why do you have an empty bladder? I'm looking at you crying. He sees the text. He then is like pissed off. He starts sort of like not having to go, but he's like, well, who sent this text? He turns to his nurses. And they're like, oh, we don't know, like, da-da-da. And he's like, well, it should say full. We need to fix this, blah, blah, blah. And I'm sort of like, vindicate me, mate. Validate me. Like, you just gaslit me, telling me that I didn't follow your rules, but actually I followed them to a T. Nothing said. Anyway, he's like, can I text this to myself? And lol, I joke because I looked at Ryan. I'm like, well, at least I have his number. So he texts the thing to himself and he was like, look, I'm really sorry about that. You're meant to have a full bladder, but we'll just do what we can.
Yeah.
And he said, look, if I can't get a good picture abdominally, I will do an internal.
Well, it was all right because it wasn't all right, but it turned out okay because he was just looking to count the eggs that we had.
Follicles, I think.
Yeah, the follicles. So it was just a follicle count at that point. So
I think it's even making sure you have follicles are forming.
Yeah,
but
so
I think
he was able to still get footage of it and count them. So
he basically said, if I can't, so I'm laying there, pussy out, and he's like, oh, if I can't get it, abdominally, I'll do an internal. And I think because I was just so heightened and like, I don't love internal ultrasounds. Who does? That sort of upset me more, and I'm thinking, fuck. And then he's doing it, saying nothing, and I say, and then he sort of like takes the thing off, starts to wipe my tummy, and I was like, did you get, like, is it all good? And he was like, yeah, you've got like over 7 or something. It's all good, and sort of slapped the folder shut.
Yeah, just a quick little note, and then took off out of the room.
And then ran back out. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, ran back out of the room because obviously he has the next patient waiting and probably has 50 women to scan that morning. So I'm left standing there very vulnerable, crying, and I was like, was it okay? Like, and so then I'm going to the nurses, like, did that work? Is he just saying that? Because you guys were very pissed off that I didn't have a full bladder. And the nurses were lovely. Like, they were like, no, it's fine. Like, we got it. You've got really, like, we saw it, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, okay, cool. Anyway, we walk out, like, I'm trying to be strong. Then they're like, okay, go over to Monash now, which is like literally across the hallway. They're like, okay, you're all done. You got to go get your blood test now. And we walk into the hallway and I burst into tears. Like, I was just so, I don't know. I felt gaslit. I felt completely gaslit. I was like, you literally fucking told me that no, I did not get sent a text when I absolutely did. Then I showed you that text. You got mad almost at me. Like, it was like you got mad at the room. And yeah, it was a really shit experience in that moment. We go in, we get our bloods. I don't think our nurse was in that day either.
No, she was never
This is
in.
Ryan's biggest bugbear, I feel like, of the whole thing.
I think what my biggest gripe with it all is like they promise you one thing and they didn't deliver on that thing. So when someone tells me they're going to do something and then you'll pay for that service, like I expect it done.
Yeah, of course.
And that was not our experience. And that's my biggest gripe with it. I was like, don't tell me you're going to give me well, I'm going to have a nurse and she's going to be our nurse and she's going to know everything. So anything that happens throughout the session, she's going to know about it. So if there's any complications, you're not then like
getting passed
around. And like, that's exactly what ended up happening to us. And that's my piss off with it all.
I got pissed off.
And I'm just like, oh, that's
because what do they promise? Just go back a little bit because you didn't. I know you sort of explained it, but what are we promised?
Well,
what are you promised?
When you get in there, you're promised your nurse, your nurse,
you have one
and
nurse.
your doctor.
Yeah.
And that is going to be your nurse. That is going to be your doctor. So whenever you come through here, you're going to have that same nurse. If you call, you're going to have that nurse.
Yeah, you ask for your nurse.
And even if they had a promises and go like, we're good and give you two nurses and either one of those nurses will just don't promise you shit.
Don't say anything. Just say everyone's
we will
an
take care of it.
nurse.
We're all amazing here and we'll make sure everything happens. Everyone will have notes so they'll know your file. But don't tell me this and then don't give me that. Like we were passed around like a bloody prostitute in a whorehouse.
Yeah.
It was bad service, I'd say.
It was bad service. So that all occurs. We get the bloods. Lol. We walk in. I'm like, is Caitlin here? That was our nurse. I shouldn't. Anyway, it was Caitlin. Everyone knows that. But is Caitlin here? And then they're like, no. And again, Caitlin's actually. I love Caitlin.
She was really nice. They're
gorgeous.
All very nice.
Yeah.
Like as much as my gripe is with that, every single nurse that we had at
was incredible.
Monash was incredible.
Yeah. It was just like we said, especially Ryan. This wasn't really my biggest bugbear at all. It was the gaslighting and just the relentless let down consistently across the board. But that really pissed you off. But in saying that, all the nurses, especially ours, was actually beautiful. Like they are all trained very well and they are so empathetic and understanding and incredible. It was just frustrating in our situation where literally every single time we called, and you only call when you have a problem or there's like a medical emergency or we were presenting for the blood tests, etc. Like the thing that we were promised didn't occur where like Caitlin was just there and we could just rely on it because, and because people also need lunch breaks and sick days and holidays, which I respect. But we were like, why is we having such a shit string of bad luck?
Yeah, I don't know if it was just our timing with everything, but the whole,
So we go in, get the blood test, So we brushed that off. I then brushed that shit experience off and I'm like, oh, well, dust myself off. Let's try again. We start injecting. Then we have to go in for, I forget, I think it's about day 9 internal at day 9. I think they did mine a little bit early because, like I said, Key was manipulating mine a little bit to make sure he could do the retrieval.
Oh, that was another gripe I have though with the manipulation and the drugs.
Yeah, so hang on. Oh, yeah. Oh, there's just so much. Anyway, so I go in for my internal and again, get in there. The nurse was so beautiful. Like, again, I'm like, oh, she was pregnant. Like, we're connecting. Key runs in out of nowhere. He's like the Flash. He runs in. You're always like Nicholas on the bed. And he has got a beautiful bed manner. Again, there's nothing wrong. It's just he's just too booked and busy, to be honest, I think. So then he does my internal pretty quick. It is really quick. And like what really did he say?
Well, he said you had a really nice thick lining and your eggs are really good, like better than what he was. Not unexpected, but he was.
It wasn't unexpected. He was shocked.
Shocked, yeah. It was like, wow. He was surprised at how well like everything was going. Your eggs, follicles, whatever, looked phenomenal. But then he's like, we might just up one of your one of the medications that you're on to help them because there was a couple of smaller ones. So he was hoping that would progress to maturity.
So I don't remember hearing that. I just heard we're going to up it because like to get him going because basically they wanted to pull early.
Yeah.
But what I will say, what he said was, and there's no endometriosis, right? He's like, and it is really healthy. Like, and he was surprised. He was genuinely shocked. Like, you don't have endometriosis. And I literally sat on that bed with my pants off and I was like, no, I don't. Like I told you so. Like I will self-advocate until the cows come home. But yeah, I was like, no, I don't have endometriosis.
No.
Like I told you. So thanks. Right. So that was a vindicating moment, but it was done like with a wand up my vulva. So then we go back out, we get our next blood test. Our nurse isn't there again. That's fine. Whatever. We move through that. And then comes the transfer, which was okay. What happened though, and we saved our entire cycle. So I don't know whose fault it is, so we will not name names, but because I am such a fucking A-type personality, when they called us on, they call you the day of the trigger. So you'll get a text to say it's trigger day, and then your nurse will call you to go through everything. So our nurse phenomenally did call us. Our actual nurse called us that day. We got her. And she was like, yep, so today's the trigger. Do you feel really good, Rara? And I said, yeah, can you? And I said, yeah, I'm just going to tell you what I've got in the fridge just to make absolute sure, because I literally was like, imagine if I did the wrong trigger or like gave myself another medicine or whatever whatever, right? So I repeated back what trigger we got given. Now, we got given that trigger because we took our script or whatever, to the chemist.
Yeah, so they give you like your script of medications that you need to get. So they sent it through to us like an e-script, and then we take that to the chemist, and then they gave us all the drugs.
Yeah.
And then we went home, so we had it all there, everything in front of us, and then she's
day
called.
Of trigger, I get the call and I'm going through it. Thank fuck. And then I say the name. So I'm, again, self-advocating. And I said, and then I've got my whatever it is. I forget it, but it's like the blah, blah, blah. And Caitlin goes, wait, say that again. And I said it again. And she was like, oh, my God, that's the wrong trigger. Thank goodness you read this out. She was like, no, you've got the wrong trigger. And I was like, what the I was like, sorry? Like, what do you mean we've got the wrong trigger? And she was like, no, you're having a fresh transfer, because we had never once with the clinic ever said we were going to do a frozen transfer. From the first conversation with Dr. Ong, we were like, fresh transfer, fresh transfer, fresh transfer. The clinic, Monash, then wrote our script and did the trigger for a frozen transfer. So it was wrong. It's because for a fresh transfer, you have a different trigger. I think that trigger cost like $170 as well.
The original one.
The original one. And then Caitlin was like, no, that's the wrong trigger. Like, you have to go, like, can you get to the chemist like now to go get your right trigger? Because I was hours off triggering. And I was like, yeah, of course, that's fine. Like, whatever, like quietly dying on the inside. Because I'm like, your clinic literally almost fucked my whole first cycle. And that, people would go, oh my God, would it have... I'm sure that they would have had, like, we wouldn't have paid for that essentially. Like, we would have just been able to go into the next month. But when you're in IVF, like, firstly, you don't want to put a wrong drug in your body. Secondly, at that time...
you're putting a lot of drugs in your body with it.
So we go back to the chemist, we get the thing, but that pissed you off because that was more, we were out of pocket.
Yeah, we were out of pocket. It was sorry, we can reimburse you for that. It was just like, oh, well, we fucked up, but you can wear the costs on that. Because IVF is expensive as it is.
Yeah.
And then they fuck up, give you the wrong drugs, which costed like another, like you said, about $170, that one.
Yeah.
The new trigger was only like $30, so it wasn't that bad. But still, that's $200 out of pocket. And for anyone just scraping by to do IVF, that would have been a big problem for them.
But can I just say the thing that I've learned in IVF, like, please ensure that you self-advocate at that level. Like, make sure when the nurse calls you, like, read your fucking medication out. Like, because I can't imagine how many women honestly have had their cycle fucked because of little mistakes like that. So we saved the cycle, thank God, because that would have just been honestly disastrous. We do the trigger. 2 days later, I'm in for the surgery. That was all fine. Dr. Sem, who did my transfer, was a beautiful, beautiful man. Like, it was... And not, there was nothing wrong with it. I was just devastated. I was just like, vulnerable and emotional that, the first time I was meeting this doctor, because Dr. Ong was meant to, obviously your doctor is meant to do your transfer, but he was away. So, and I'd known that, we'd chosen that. So then Dr. Sem did it. It was fine. But I did get in the car, and now it all makes sense to me in hindsight why I was so upset. So we get in the car and I'm bawling my eyes out. Like, I was meant to be happy because it's like, I'm pregnant. You're pregnant until proven otherwise at that point. And I was just so fucking emotional. And I was probably a lot of things. Like, I hadn't lost Zeus.
No, we hadn't lost Zeus yet. Point. No.
So it was just, I think it was just, a lot of feelings and emotions, and IVF, and you're full of fucking drugs for sure. So you're emotional. But I also think that that's a very vulnerable moment. I actually I have never let a male doctor in between my legs, ever. Like, I have always done all my pap smears. I've always requested women. I have always had female doctors because it's just a preference of mine. And I didn't mind Ung because I chose him. I'd communicated with him. Like, there was a big, choosing in that moment. And as much as Dr. Sam is the most beautiful doctor, honestly, on earth, like, it was probably perfect. He did it.
Yeah, but the first time you meet someone, your legs spread wide open.
Literally. And it just felt yuck, I'll be honest. Like, to be honest, like, it felt, you could tell, we put the video up, and probably actually in the video, I look tense. I am tense. I'm like, anyway, so the transfer goes down. We go home. Ung's away at this point. Now, I'd had my retrieval 7 days earlier. So I'd had it 7 days earlier. And for like a couple of days post, because anesthesia makes me constipated, I hadn't shit for like 3 days.
Yeah.
And then I was pooing fine. So I'd like released the beast. And then I was pooing fine. But it was like I'd been constipated for about 3 days. And this is important to this conversation because you'll see why in a second. So the day after transfer, I wake up. Actually, pain woke me up at like, I don't know, 2 a.m., 3 a.m. in the morning. So I'd had my transfer like 9 a.m. the day before. And then like 3 a.m. the next day, like severe pain woke me up. And I woke up in that moment and I couldn't breathe. Like, I was like panicking because I couldn't breathe, because to breathe was painful. I went to get up to like go to the toilet. I couldn't walk because I was in so much pain. It literally puts like anxiety back in my chest thinking about this.
Yeah.
But I was in so much pain. And for a woman that doesn't feel pain, we'll have blood all around the house. And Ryan's like, fuck, what have you done now? And I don't even know, I've cut my foot open or ripped my toenail off or...
And I laugh about it all the time. I was like, if you ever went missing, I go, I'm just going to get locked up, because if they spray the house with blood, like, there's literally the amount of blood that you have put through that house.
We're not kidding.
It's not a joke. It is serious. Like, you cut yourself. I don't know if you're clumsy or it's just...
I'm clumsy and I don't feel pain.
You're pain, but...
So I'll bleed. Like,
through the kitchen, through the lounge room, the rug's got blood stains on it, and then you go into the bathroom and there's like blood stain all over that in the bedroom. So I'm like, baby, like,
We've cleaned it, but
I'm
if
going
they
to
got
jail. Like, I'm going to get locked up for life if you ever go missing. I'm like, this is bullshit.
Yeah, it's on the podcast now that it's all me.
It was not me.
So I wake up, I'm in severe pain. We're all a bit stressed. Obviously as well, because I've just had my transfer. So that's like, fuck, is it something to do with that? Ryan, we wait until the clinic hopefully opens at like 6 a.m. Ryan calls the doctor or the clinic, Monash, and Ung's away. So you don't get any access to Ung anyway, but Ung is away even. So we're kind of like, we just call Monash because we're like, well, a nurse or someone can tell us what to do. So Ryan's telling them the symptoms and everything, and they're like, well, we'll email or text or whatever Dr. Ung. He's away, but I think it was email. We'll email Dr. Ung and we'll get back to you. So they emailed Dr. Ung, who's away, and like, good on him for still replying in Chinese New Year. And then they come back to you a couple of hours later and they're like, oh, he said it's just constipation. Let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, I don't think I've ever raged more in my life. Like, I was so angry. I was like yelling at you. I was like, are you fucking serious? Like, because I told Ryan, because you'd even said, you were like, oh, have you gone to the toilet this morning? Is it constipation? And I'm like, it's not fucking constipation.
Were constipated after the
yeah. So
your
that's what I'm
surgery.
saying, fair. And then I said to Ryan, I'd literally pooed twice, just to get really honest. But this all matters, right? So I said to Ryan, no, I've pooed twice, like this morning. Like, it's not constipation. I shat 2 or 3 times yesterday. Like, it's absolutely not constipation. Like, are you kidding me? I felt so gaslit yet again. So then Ryan, and they were like, she'll be fine. Just leave it. She'll be fine, blah, blah, blah. I'm not getting better. It's actually getting worse by like midday. So Ryan calls again and he's like, look, she's shit. It's not constipation. We don't know what to do. Like, you're like, I was crying on and off. Like, I was in so much pain. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't walk. I could walk, but it was extremely painful. And then you call again and they were like, well, look, if she's still in pain after 12 hours, then take her to the hospital. And you were like, okay. And then,
they wanted us to get blood.
No, I was saying, I think, because you kept saying, baby, you're so beautiful. You kept saying to me, you know your body, trust your body. What do you think it is? And I was saying, it is overstimulation. I'm overstimulated. My body hates these fucking drugs. I've got hyper overstimulation. And so, but then because I didn't have endometriosis, they're like, can't be that. It's not that. So then he calls back. They're like, okay, we'll go to the hospital. And then I self-advocated. I said, tell them I want a fucking blood test. And so we can rule out overstimulation essentially. Like they can, so then you call back. They then email, they're like, okay, we'll have to email Dr. Ung for that permission. They email Dr. Ung. He writes back and is like, I'm fine with that. Yep, here's her referral. So I get sent to a local blood clinic. I walk in. She was fucking amazing. I was in so much pain. She was like, darling, you lay down. Like, don't try and sit up for your bloods. Lay on the bed. I'm laying on the bed, crying my eyes out, getting my blood drawn. And she just was like, you're not okay. Like, something's wrong. And she's like, are you normally in this much pain? And I was like, no, I don't feel pain. And then that's when you were like, fuck this, I'm taking you to the hospital.
Yeah, well, you come out and they're like, oh, they wanted the bloods, whatever. And you said that they told you to wait 12 hours.
Yeah.
I was like, for what?
Yeah.
I was like, you're just going to be in pain in 12 hours? I'm like, 12 hours time is going to be like 8 o'clock at night. I was like, and then what? Present and then sit there all night. Let's just go now. Then the hospital can run extra tests if we need them.
Yeah.
They can do an ultrasound or whatever they need to do there. I go, and then we'll go from there. I'm like, why wait?
Yeah. So we go to the hospital. They were amazing as well. They got me straight through. Everyone's, when you're dealing with them in the moment, like, everyone's amazing. Even Monash at that point, like, they were lovely and they're like, we're so sorry, we'll email Dr. Ung. We get to the hospital. They're amazing. They ran an ultrasound test that they could because I had just had a transfer. So they were amazing and they were like, we could CT scan, but I was like, I don't want that because that's going to probably hurt the embryo, like, at the end of the day. And they were like, we so respect that, yes, and we agree. They really wanted to give me pain meds and I refused them. Then they ultrasounded, but they couldn't really get a good look. And they're like, we really need to do more thorough testing. And we can't do that here. I was at Gold Coast? No, Robina. I was at Robina. So we get back to the bed. They're calling their gynecologist specialist at Gold Coast.
Yeah. Gold Coast Uni. And then the doctor on whatever, they'd given me a drip and that seemed to help a little bit. Like, it was just, I think honestly just being in somewhere where I knew if shit got worse, I think sometimes that helps. It's like, okay, your body calms down a little bit. So my pain had probably gone from a 7-8 to like a 5-6. And the doctor came over and was like, look, we really want to run more tests. We want to, what's it called? Like, input you? What's the word? Admit you. Put you into admission essentially, but we're going to have to transfer you to Gold Coast and admit you there because they have a more specialised unit and we're worried about, like, we are actually worried about you. And I was like, but you don't know what it is, do you? And they were like, we don't, but we need to run more definitive tests. And I was like, what are those tests?
And then I was like, will any of this basically hurt my chance of if this embryo is going to survive whatever this pain is? And they were like, possibly, but we're more concerned about you, and it's so fair. I so respect it. They don't really care about the embryo at that point. They're like, well, we're dealing with you and you're in pain, and so yes, we might have to run tests that ultimately would like possibly hurt the embryo. And I was like, am I allowed to discharge myself then? And they were like, you can. We advise against it, but you can. So I discharged myself. I was like, I'd rather be in pain at home than, potentially killing the baby with extra tests, the embryo. So we go home. I'm still in pain. Phenomenally. Now, all knows I'm in pain. We'd called Monash to let them know. I was kind of angry at this point, and I'm like, fucking call Monash and tell them I'm in the hospital. Like, I want them to know, sort of thing. Gaslighters. And then, so we did. And this is important as well, because the next day, Monash didn't call. I called Monash. I think Monash did call. Monash called, or I called Monash. I think I called Monash because I just was like, just to let you know, I'm doing okay. But the hospital called me, Gold Coast Hospital called me, and they were like, look, we've seen the tests that we've got. The woman was incredible. I think she was the gynae. And she's like, we're still genuinely quite worried about you, and we're really encouraging you to come and admit yourself. Like, we think that you need to be admitted. And in hindsight, I'm like, I know I fucking had hyper overstimulation. That's what I had. And you do just sort of write it out, and it can get better. It can be very serious, but I was fine in the end. So that's all happening, and that's a big, like, there's even more to that story, but it's like gaslit with constipation, stay home and suffer, basically. Nothing you can do. We'll email Dr. Ong, like, heaven forbid it was an actual emergency and we're waiting on an email from our friend. But that all occurred. I was devastated, was very stressed, but it kind of went from, and here's the sequence of events. And again, I think anything could have ultimately caused the failure, including what we then discovered which we'll get on our naturopath on about. But day 1 after transfer was a 7 to 8 out of 10 pain. The second day after transfer, remember, and I was out of hospital, what did I say? It was like a 4 or 5.
Yeah.
The third day, which was a Friday, I remember that, Thursday or Friday, I said it was just cramping. I just like felt like I had cramps at that stage, like pretty severe cramps, but that's not pain anymore to me. That's like, meh, like I can deal with that. It was just cramping. So I was like, it's good. It's getting better. Whatever it is, it's getting better. And then the 4th day I woke up and we were out and about that morning and the blood began. So there was no pain actually that morning. It was just like a dull ache. And then
well, you were feeling good that day.
I felt phenomenal. I felt fucking pregnant. I remember let me tell you as well, those days with the cramping and stuff, we were like, oh, you're pregnant. Like I was fucking pregnant. Let me tell you, friends, like my tits were out of control, which was amazing. I was starting to get a little bit of nausea. You just know. As a woman, you know. You know, they say when you know, you fucking know. And I remember I said to you, it was a Sunday morning, I was like, I was pregnant, but like, because you are until proven otherwise, like you lose the embryo. But I was like, oh, wow, it's stuck. Like, holy, which was so exciting. So then all this is happening. Day 4, I wake up and, the bloodbath had occurred. So coming to you, we go into the bathroom. I'm on the floor. I collapse on the floor and I'm sobbing because I was like, I'm having a miscarriage. Heartbroken.
Yeah.
And you were kind of speechless. You were amazing, but you were...
Well, it's hard for me because there's nothing I can do about it.
Yeah.
And for me, when that happened, I was just like, shit. I was like, all I can do is comfort you, make sure you're fine. I'm like, because other than that, like, I'm as useless as fucking tits on a ball. I'm just sitting there like, fuck. I was like, this is like our dreams of being parents at this time is like, fuck.
It's a lot.
Yeah. So it is a lot, but we wrote it out and then come into more troubles with Monash, like more gaslighting, more thing. And like I said, like this episode is basically us telling you why we decided to make the decision to switch. And like I said, it wasn't the fact that we weren't like Monash and Ung are bad by any means.
No, not at all.
But I think our experience personally with them was a bad experience that we didn't like, and then
I
we
just
were
genuinely-
like, yeah,
sorry.
like it's when we sat down the other day and we were discussing it, and I think you already had your mind up, and you're like, what would you feel about like we're going in for this chamber? This was actually before we knew that he was
Away.
that he was going to be away. You
Again.
already had inklings like you wanted to leave.
Why? Because I'm big on, you're voting with your dollar in every single way. Like, as in, like, no matter what you buy, you're always voting with the dollar. And I just was like, why are we, like, if I'm this upset and disheartened and frustrated at how we've been treated, because we'll get to it, we're sort of jumping ahead before we go back. But because probably the worst part, in my opinion, is this next part about when I was bleeding, what occurred. But I was like, why would we stay? Like, why are we staying? Like, what's the point of staying when, other than because we were scared to move our embryos, which we don't have to.
Yeah.
Because Dr. Fleming also works out of Monash Lab. Yeah, but anyway, so the transfer loss begins. I start profusely bleeding, and like, I was showing you the blood because I just couldn't. I was like, how am I alive? To be honest, every hour on the hour, I was feeling a super maxi pad with blood every hour on the hour. So anyway, that I start to bleed though, at that velocity and heaviness. We are like, dreams are dashed, hopes are gone, I'm miscarrying. Like, this is devastating. I call, of course, Monash, and I'm like, just spoke to whoever I called Monash. It was a Friday. And I said, hi, is my nurse there? I said, hi, it's Anna. Is my nurse there? And they were like, no, no, they didn't say anything. They said, look, she's not in yet. We'll get her to call you back when she gets in. And I was like, okay, no stress, right? Because when you're in a very fucking vulnerable moment and you think you're miscarrying, you do want your nurse. Like, you want your nurse. You don't want to have to rehash everything brand new with a new nurse. So that's the power, just as an example of why it is really powerful and like nice to have a set one or two nurses. So I was like, okay, no stress. I'll have her call me back. So my acupuncture, I get acupuncture on a Friday, is 10 o'clock, I think it was. So I go to my acupuncture at 10 and I rock up and I'm still bleeding really heavily and I'm distraught. Like, I'd stop crying because I'm like, I don't want to walk in crying. And Dr. Cass is I cannot recommend her highly enough. I walk in and she just takes one look at me and she's like, what's wrong? Oh my God, what's wrong? And she'd done my acu on the day of transfer, so she knows exactly where I'm at. And she goes, oh my God, what's wrong? And so I was by myself at this point.
Well, I was at the gym.
Yeah.
So Anna dropped me off at the gym and she stayed for like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And then you'd left because you were meant to go to
Acu.
Acu. So I just thought you were going to Acu and you'd be back in an hour 15 by the time you do all the driving. So I'm at the gym just waiting, chilling. And then I was unaware of all this occurring. So she'd gone to Acu and then, Dr. Cass was
incredible. Well, I walk in and she's like, what's wrong? And I said, I'm losing the baby. And she was like, what do you mean? And she's like, no, you're not. What day are you? And I said, I'm day 4. And she goes, what the fuck are you doing here? She goes, have you called Monash? I said, yeah, I called Monash. I'm waiting for them to call me back. And she looks at the time and she goes, what the fuck are you doing here? Get in the car and drive to fucking Monash. Like, honey, this is not okay. Like,
you shouldn't be bleeding.
You shouldn't be bleeding, my love. Like, get in the car and drive to Monash and you do not leave their fucking waiting room. I love Cass. Like, this is why I love I learned how to self-advocate for myself so hard in IVF because of Cass. So she's like, what do you mean they haven't called you back? Like, what are you waiting for with a call back? Like, you should be in there and they need to be giving you blood tests. That you need to be checking your progesterone. Maybe, like, don't think it's over. This is way too early for a bleed. So then I'm like, oh my God, maybe it's not. So I do what she says. I get in the car, I call Ryan and I'm like, hey, baby, like, I'm on the way. I'm on it. Like,
you were bawling, and I was like,
it might not be over. Dr. Cass is saying it's not a miscarriage. Like, it may not be, like, it could be okay, blah, blah, blah. I get to Monash, I walk in crying, like most women, and I am just like, hi, is my nurse here? And the beautiful woman at the desk was like, oh, no, I'm really sorry, she's off sick today. And I just remember standing there genuinely shell-shocked because, so what you have to understand, that's not her fault. She gets to have her sick day. My utter shock and disbelief and frustration was when I'd made my first call at like 7 o'clock or whatever time, 8 o'clock maybe, to say, was she there? And they said, no, can anyone else help me? No, I do want to speak to her because I think I'm having a miscarriage. Like, they know, I've told them explicitly the situation. I'm bleeding really heavy. I'm really upset. I don't know what to do. Can you get my nurse to call me? Yep, I'm so sorry, sweetheart. We'll get her to call you. So when I rock up and they're saying, oh, no, she's not in today, that's not her fault at all. It's Monash's duty of care to then go, oh, I've got a client here, essentially, that thinks she's miscarrying. Another nurse, okay, so Kate, like, that nurse is called in sick. Okay, well, we need to appoint another nurse to call her back. If I had not have presented to Monash, I can bet my net worth that another nurse wasn't going to call me back. No. Like, take that to the bank.
I don't reckon they'd flagged it at all.
No, not at all. So I walk in. No, not at all, because I knew that, because when I walked in, they then had to deal with it. They weren't expecting it. So I walk in and I'm like, I don't give a fuck. I'm crying. It's IVF. And I just was like, they were like, are you okay? I'm like, no, I'm miscarrying. I say this at the desk, there's women around. And they don't like that in an IVF clinic. So they were like, sort of thing, like, oh, well, we'll go get a nurse for you. And I'm like, thank you. Like, yeah, that would, because at this point I'm pissed, because now I'm like, so my nurse is off sick, which is fair and fine. And that's what I've been waiting for? Nothing? So another nurse comes out like 15 minutes later. Again, beautiful demeanor, very understanding and empathetic. Like, there's nothing wrong with them. It's just the system itself, essentially, and the way that they deal with things. And I'm sobbing. So she kindly is like, let's go into this private room, which I appreciate. We go in there and she's like, so what's wrong? And I'm like, I think I'm miscarrying. And she was like, well, what day are you? And I'm like, 4. And she's like, honey, it's impossible. This is her exact words. And Ung reiterated this. Several other nurses reiterated this. They were like, Cass had reiterated that. They were like, you are not miscarrying. Like, it is physically, scientifically impossible, these were their words, to be bleeding this early after a transfer, because, unbeknownst to me, and we unpacked it later, the trigger that they give you when you have the trigger basically blocks and stops your period from occurring, right? So the bleed that you eventually have if you don't hold the embryo occurs later, and that is the miscarriage. But I was just having it early. Like, I was just having it early, essentially. Although we don't know. It could have been anything. So she's like, it's impossible, my love. Like, it sucks. Dr. Ung's not here. We're really sorry, but just go home. Do not think you're having a miscarriage. Like, you can't think that. You still act like, don't go home and get drunk, basically, because you're sad, because you're still counted as pregnant by our clinic. Like, so I'm like, and Cass had said to me, thank God, before I left, don't you fucking leave that clinic. These are her words. Don't you fucking leave that clinic without demanding a blood test, right? Make sure that they test your progesterone, because she thought it was that. Everyone thought it was that as well. So I say to this nurse, she was like, okay, just go home, look after yourself. And I was like, no, I need a blood. Can you please at least give me a blood test and check my progesterone? Her exact fucking words. And I've like reported this to Monash, like I've gone through, and my story has never fucking changed. And bless her heart was, oh, that's a good idea. And again, not her fault, like sweet and a natural response. But in my head, I'm thinking, the fact I'm fucking sitting here bleeding for Australia, having a self-advocate to ask for a blood test that I should have been walking in, and not necessarily straight away, but being like, hi, Anna, we understand the situation. Let's test your progesterone, right? So they go and test my progesterone. Then I go home.
I think all they want to do is, because like they said, at their clinic,
they don't want you to miscarry.
But it's impossible. Like, you shouldn't be miscarriage, and just go home. It's like, you're bleeding, like wasn't a normal period bleed.
No
You were
fucking way.
gushing, and then you were for 10 days.
Yeah. So she takes me through, another nurse, a head nurse, does my bloods, and she, again, beautiful. Like, she was probably the best nurse I had, and I was sobbing as she's taking my blood, and she was so beautiful. They all were, and she just was like, honey, it is impossible. Again, she was the second point of reference that was like, it's impossible that it's a miscarriage. Don't discredit, like, maintain your pregnancy, blah, 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 blah. Again, I then advocated for, like, I'd love an ultrasound. Like, maybe can we ultrasound? Can we see that, like, it's still okay? Can we check for tears? Like, and they're like, Dr. Ung's still away. We will email him and we'll make sure he's aware that you're bleeding and we'll get the sort of protocol. So that occurs. I go home. They get back to me a couple of hours later and they're like, yeah, Dr. Ung said it would be a great idea for you to go for that internal ultrasound. The thing that kind of annoyed me at this point, though, a little bit, I'm like, I just think if you're in IVF and you're paying the amount that we fucking paid, it was 20 grand all in for our first cycle. It's about 4 to 5 grand. Actually, it's probably like 3 to 4 with Dr. Fleming. But anyway, now per embryo transfer. So I'm thinking, like, why can't I come to fucking Monash for this internal? Like, why can't I come to the clinic that, like, I get my doctors away, but, like, anyway. So then they send me to a local scanning
Well, it was
place.
just wherever we could do it.
Yeah,
So
sorry. They just
it's
send
like
the
a
referral and we
Sullivan
go.
Nicolady or
Yeah.
something like that, or a Four Corners. I don't know what they are.
Four Corners. So we go there and the lady was beautiful. Like, she was so sweet, wasn't she? I was thinking, like, oh, my nana sent you. Like, you're just like.
She reminded me of your mum. Just that real nice, sweet demeanour. And, she was bubbly and she's just a lovely lady.
She was an earth angel. So she does my scan and I'm bleeding. And I was, like, really emotional because I was like, I was embarrassed. Like, I was like, I am so sorry. Like, I'm bleeding. She goes, it's all right, darling. Like, hey, like, she's like, this is normal. Like, we do a lot of scans like this. Like, and I was like, no, you don't understand. Like, I'm gushing. Like, you're going to get, and she was like, oh, okay. All right. Well, it's all right. We'll put paper down and da, da, da. I'm not embarrassed. You don't need to be embarrassed. She was beautiful. But again, it was just a shitty moment. So I'm on the bed and she scanned and you were there and I'm reiterating this because I've been hated on about this. It's like, there's no way that you could see that early, and I'm like, well, turns out you know better than the fucking scanner and the ultrasound that we got back because this sac was attached. So she was beautiful. She was like, look, my love, I know you're bleeding very heavily, but for all intents and purposes, if you weren't bleeding and you were in here and I was just checking, I would be saying, like, congratulations, it's fine. Like, there's no, what did she say? There's no tears on your uterus. I remember, your cervix is closed. Your uterine lining is so thick. That was a big thing, reiterated a lot, which was really important because obviously I was like, oh, well, but then I was like, well, then where the fuck is this blood coming from? And she said, there's a little 2 millimeter or whatever sac attached. So we were like, oh. So she's like, we can't see the baby. Like, it's not big enough to say, like, here's the baby yet. But she's like, the sac is attached. The uterine lining is thick and healthy. And this is in my report as well. The cervix is closed and there's no tears. So I was like, oh my God, hallelujah, praise the Lord. Like,
we got a bit.
We're pregnant.
Yeah, we got a bit excited. Not excited, but we had a bit of hope. After that, we're like, well, maybe it's still okay. But then it just kept bleeding and kept bleeding. We're like, yeah, no, that's not okay.
And I suppose, like, there's no right or wrong way, I think, to have dealt with the next part. But, like, ultimately, because Ung was away, because I just feel like Monash or his doctor, I don't actually know, like, the team I was really dealing with at this point. Maybe it was his nursing team. I don't know. But they kept reiterating to me, and I respected it because they had the results from the ultrasound as well. And I got my progesterone results back and they were perfect. Like, they were, whatever it is, I think it was like 40 or something, but whatever it is, it was like perfect. So when Ung was looking at that from home on his holiday, like, sacs attached, cervix, like, and her progesterone's great, he was like, well, she is pregnant. Like, it's all good. So we were incredibly hopeful, but honestly, I kept bleeding and bleeding and bleeding. And the clinic just kept saying to me, like, hold on to hope when I would call them up and be like, hey, I'm still bleeding. It's day 5, it's day 6, it's day 7. And I remember on day 7, because they will do your scan to confirm your pregnancy, your bloods. It's your HCG bloods on day 10. Well, mine was scheduled for day 10 anyway, post-transfer. And it was day 7. And I just, again, self-advocated for myself. Like, I called and I was like, actually, day 4 bleeding, remember, I woke up and I got up to go to the toilet, like, in the morning, and I was sobbing because I was like, because I still felt pregnant. This is what I want to say. My symptoms were basically like getting stronger. Like, I was like, what? My boobs were still sore. And then that morning, like day 4 of the bleed, I was losing hope progressively because I'm like, there's no way a baby can fucking stay up.
There's no way an embryo is going to stay attached when you're losing this much of your lining.
Inside. And then day 4, but I still felt pregnant. So I was like, it's clearly holding on. Like, it's a stubborn little Anna. Like, and then day 4, I woke up and I went to go to the toilet and it was like every symptom was just gone. I just felt normal again, like completely normal. And I burst into tears and I looked at you and I was like, I've lost it. I'm so sorry. Oh, God. I always say, when you know, and when you know, you know. And I remember just saying, yeah, I'm so sorry. And I can't remember whatever day that was, day 4. But yeah, I just knew. I was like, I'm not pregnant, baby. I'm so sorry. And then that day, like, for fucking sure, it was the cloddiest, heaviest, most horrible day. And then, yeah, the clinic just kept saying, like, you're pregnant until proven otherwise, which, again, that's just protocol and I understand that. But it was day 7 when I really advocated for myself and I said, I'm not fucking waiting until day 10, basically. Like, I'm going to come in and have my test, and because I'm just basically sick of hearing you guys say that. Like,
yeah, saying, wait, hold on, you still have. It's like,
I know I'm not pregnant,
yeah.
So let's just rip this Band-Aid off. And they were amazing because they were like, yeah, that's fine, come in.
I don't think there's much they could have done.
No, there's nothing they could have done.
And like I said, and statistics show that with the French transfer, like your percentages are a lot lower because of how much drugs and that you've got in your system.
Yeah.
And then, but we were just like, no, we're healthy, we're good, let's give it a crack. Like, we waited long enough. And then, it wasn't to be.
It wasn't to be. So then day 7, I said, look, I'm done. I'm coming in. And so they let me. You were there. And they did the test. And like as I was drawing it, they were like, well, we can, I was like, I know I'm not pregnant, but thank you. And then, it came back and my HCG was like 0, or 4 or something. And then that was it. Like, I stayed home bleeding. I continued to bleed. I bled that heavily for 9 or 10 days. And then I still bled for like 2 weeks, like 14 days, but it just stopped feeling a super pad every hour on the hour for the sort of final 4 days after that. So I bled for about 2 weeks. And then was back. And the clinic were good. Like, they knew that I was pretty pissed off and they knew that I'd like felt pretty let down, and I'd been communicating all of this. I'm not fake. So I wasn't like, I'm fine. Like, I was like, I'm pretty pissed off. Like, I feel a bit gaslit. Like, every time it happened, I was always vocal. And so they were great and they said, look, I think it would be really beneficial. Not all women definitely get this at all. They said, we will push to get you booked in to have like a debrief essentially with all. And I was like, yeah, I would actually really appreciate that. So we had that, and that was like 5 minutes. And bless him, like, such a kind, sweet man. But jumped on and was just said the same thing. He's like, I don't know why you should not have bled that heavy. Well, he said it was that heavy because you just had such a thick uterine lining. So I was like, that checks. But he's like, yeah, I literally don't know. And it's not, I mean, I don't blame him for not knowing, but he was like, I don't know why you just shouldn't have bled at day 4. Like, it's very rare. You're a rare case. And you were like, oh, that's her. She's a unicorn.
But then, in that same breath, he's like, well, let's just go again. Like, you've got healthy eggs. You feel healthy. Like, you two are in peak shape. You've done all your thing. Let's go again. So next period, when you're there, call us up and we'll go again. It's like, they've just told us that they don't know why she started bleeding. It's like, we have no idea why this has happened. Let's not try get any solution out of it. Let's just go again. And we're like, what the
so
fuck?
angry. I was like, and then I was like,
just pump your brakes, brother. It's like, let's slow down a little.
And bless him. Like, again, I just remember how excited he was. Like, he was just like, because at that point he was back, so he could finally look again at our case notes. Like, he hadn't seen like our results and stuff, and he was like, your embryos are incredible. Like, that, like, you can't get healthy embryos. We're graded at the top. Like, you literally can't get better embryos. So he's like, let's go again. Let's go. Like, let's next month. And I'm like, Dr. Ong, with all due respect, until someone can tell me why I bled for Australia on day 4 when you all, and now yourself included as my doctor, is telling me it should not have happened, and you don't understand why. Because why I'm saying it shouldn't have happened is, like, you can miscarry 100%, which is ultimately what it was, but not necessarily, right? Because they were saying, like, you just don't bleed that early. So if the embryo was to not have attached, it usually happens by like the 2nd week or after 10 to 14 days. Day 4, I was bleeding profusely, but it wasn't, it like was my uterine lining. It wasn't my uterine lining. So, and the little sac had attached. So he was like, I see all that. I'm not sure why. Let's go again. And then that's when really powerfully. So I was just like incredulous, I think, at that point. And I said to him, look, with all due respect, Dr. Long, I love your enthusiasm, and yes, we are super healthy, and bravo us for getting the highest graded embryos, which has got nothing to do with the medical industry and everything to do with the protocol we did before. But I was like, until someone can tell me why that occurred, I'm not letting you or anyone touch me and put in an embryo up me. And he was like, all right, well, like, go away, think about it, take a breath, like, take a break, and then when you're ready, call back. And that's where we then went and found Dr. Anne-Marie, our incredible now naturopath. And we'll quickly share that story because it's a quick story, essentially, because I'm trying to get this podcast in 90 minutes. So we've got 13 minutes. But that's when we went to Dr. Anne-Marie, and it was because of that, because the medical industry couldn't tell me why I had bled so badly. And yeah, we met with Dr. Anne-Marie, and long story short, what was it that I had?
It was a ureaplasma and microplasma.
Yeah, good
Is that
job,
right?
baby. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's
mycoplasma and ureaplasma.
Yeah, so we both got tested. We both got our urines, bloods, and that all tested through
Your vagina.
Yeah, my vagina, baby. But yeah, we got all
Vaginal
that done.
swab.
She went through them all, got all the results back, and she's like, oh, so told us what we had. So I only ended up with ureaplasma. Microplasma, one of them.
Oh, no, urea. It was urea.
Yeah, so she's like, we need to clear these up. And she's like, whilst you're on, so she's, as much as she's a naturopath, she was like, well, we want to get this cleared up as fast as possible, because she knew that we wanted to get back in and do another cycle. So she's like, well, I'll get you both on antibiotics.
Yeah.
We'll get you through this program. So we've got all the natural stuff to clear it all up. And then we'll go again once it's all cleared. But until you get it cleared, wear protection.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is this bullshit?
Oh, God, it sucks so bad. I forgot about that. Worst 2 weeks of my life.
And she goes, because what commonly happens was when the partners are trying to clear it, one might clear it, but the other one hasn't completely cleared it. And then they then pass it back on to that one. And then it just becomes a cycle that ends up, instead of getting it cleared in 2 weeks, can take up to 3 months to clear.
Oh, longer, 6, 12, 24 years. So quickly, ureaplasma and mycoplasma is the essentially your, I don't know, like, it's the urea area, like your urine / sexual organ area that carries this particular bacteria. It is not an STI. I wouldn't give a fuck if it was. I'd talk about that as well.
Baby, I'm 44 years STI free, so I
We
would
both-
give a shit if
we
it was an
both got-
STI.
Tested when we started together. We've been STI free our whole lives. Shockingly, I'll be honest. Shockingly. But yes, I wouldn't have cared. So it's a bacteria of your whatever the tract is. And interestingly, with what Ryan just said, it's funny because we both had it, right? And I was the only one that got given antibiotics. And we went back to Dr. Emery and we're like, oh, I've got it, rah. And straight away, the first thing she said was, make damn sure that they give Ryan antibiotics as well, because they'll usually only treat the female, and it's ridiculous because you both have to clear it, because if you clear it and he doesn't, then he's going to give it straight back to you, and vice versa. And it was so funny to me because I was like, oh my God, that's exactly what's just happened. And I also want to say, so quick few things on this particular bacteria, because it's so unbelievably, it blew my fucking mind. So first of all, when we were sitting with Anne-Marie, she was saying how she's like, I bet I know what it was. Like, she just knew. So she's like, I bet I know why that transfer failed. She knew. And she's like, I'm going to test you for it, but let's see. But she said, basically, it's this particular little bug. It's a nice little bug that can cause spontaneous miscarriage. She sent me so many reference science articles on it that I've read. I've read them all. And she said it causes spontaneous miscarriage and issues implanting. And she said, I think 70 plus people are carriers of it. It's just a pesky little bacteria. And she said, you know, the thing that frustrates me the most is that Ung's clinic as well, because she's worked with him for a long time. Like, they've just like, she's the naturopath that a lot of his clients go to, and vice versa. She said, I know Monash themselves used to test for this before a transfer. And then if you had it, they'd clear it up and then they'd do the transfer. And she said, she's so sweet and innocent. She's like, I just don't know why they've stopped testing for it. And I was like, I'll fucking tell you, Anne-Marie.
More money.
Because it's a corrupt, multi-billion-dollar industry that if everyone got pregnant on the first go, how on earth would they make all their money? So I would highly recommend, I want to kind of end on a high note, because basically we had these bugs. We've cleared these bugs. We just retested. We retested it 4 weeks after being on her it's just
her elixir.
Naturopathic protocol. We had vitamins, powders, and an elixir. We also had the antibiotics for a week because, like Ryan said, she's amazing and she supported both. And we cleared it. So week 4, we got retested. So vaginal swab, urine test again, all clear, which is phenomenal. And we're kind of clear to go now. Like, we feel really good. She's now got me predominantly on like phase 2 and phase 3 naturopathic protocol, which is like vaginal pessaries for progesterone, just like healthy, like little microbiomes to repopulate my gut health and vaginal health. And she's got me on uterine lining elixir, so just to make my uterine walls thick and juicy again. That's kind of, I'm like, that's the issue I don't have an issue with though. Like, even Ung was like, yours was very thick. And then I've got just supplements again. So
we are very healthy, so wouldn't expect anything else. No.
Yeah. Well, Dr. Ung and Dr. Anne-Marie both said that. They were like, in essence, they were like, go have some fun for a month. Even Ung said it, which I really respected. He was like, go and just, it was basically like, you're too healthy. Like, so what Dr. Ung said to me, did he not? He was like, your body, and I think, like, let me say this and then I'll finish that sentence. Sharing that story, and I feel like all the failings in it, I don't know what ultimately caused the failure, including also those 2 bacteria. Probably was that, to be honest. It's just unfortunate along the way, so much, in my opinion, mismanagement and just lack of duty of care essentially occurred along the way. And I think the universe trying to show us that Ung wasn't the one. Essentially, because it was just a string of bad luck pieced together. That's right, because then, anyway, so we were ready to go, and you can end it here, but we were literally, friends, this ties it off in a bow. we were ready to go again. Even after all of that is said and done, we got out, we went hard with our naturopathic protocol. I got the answer that I said that I needed before I'd go in again. We recall the clinic. I got my period in May. And what happened?
Yeah, so same thing. Like
Fuck.
we ring up, we're like, we're day one, we're ready to go. And she's like, wonderful. Like, okay,
Amazing.
so what will happen? So you'll go here, get blood tests here. And then, so looking at your timeline, so we should be, like, you don't have to do the egg collections of that. Because, so looking at the timeline, so that'll be 10 days after your first period. So when you start ovulating is when we will start looking at giving you progesterone and that, and then we'll be looking at implanting on the 7th of May. And we're like, excellent, works out perfect. Like when we started the podcast, like we were so excited, ready to go. And then she's like, okay, so you've just got to now sign the consent form so we're good to go so we can get the ball rolling. And we're like, cool.
Amazing.
She's like, I'll send those through to you and then we'll go from there. We're like, awesome. Hung up the phone from her. She sent the emails, which is great. Probably only not even 3 minutes later, we got the emails.
2 minutes.
Opened them up, and then in the email come along with the consent forms is like when Dr. Ung's going to be away. And he's going to be away from the 6th through to the 10th. And we're like, what the fuck? I was like...
You couldn't make it up, friends.
Why did she not just tell us this? She literally told us that we're going on the 7th, but forgets to tell us that Dr. Ung's not going to be there for us.
Because
again, this is the second time they've done that.
Yeah.
It's like,
nah.
Is this just what they do? They just don't tell you and just like, here you go, sign it, give us your money, and then we'll figure it out later.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck? So we got back on the phone, rang straight back up. This was probably 5 minutes after hanging up with her.
It wasn't. It was literally, guys, it was literally 2 minutes less. 90 fucking seconds.
And we've rung up and we're like, oh, hi, we've just got off the phone with Caitlin. We just want to, is Caitlin there so we can talk to her about it? We just don't. And the receptionist's like, oh, sorry, Caitlin's gone home for the day. We're like, what the fuck? We just got off the phone with her.
But again, it's not her fault. That's not her fault. Like, she can leave.
But we rang earlier on in the day, so because obviously she got her period Anna got her period at the start of the day. We rang up. This was probably maybe 11:30. We rang and they're like, "Oh, sorry, Caitlin's on lunch." And we're like, "Cool. Can you just get her to call her when she gets back?" And blah blah blah. And then she doesn't call back till like 3:00 in the afternoon.
Yeah. Oh no, I called again. I had to call again, and then she was still away. I said, "Oh no." So, yeah, I called again and they were like, oh, has Shannon not called you back? I'll get her to call you back. And then we finally got the call back at 3. But, so friends, after all of what we just shared for the last 90 minutes, we were still burying the hatchet. We were like, nah, we'll go again. And so what Ryan was saying was like, even though before we'd fully made the call to make the call to say day one, I was like, obviously, for all of those aforementioned reasons, like, oh, why are we staying? Like, should we leave? And then we call for day one and that happened. And they were like, and so I was like, so what happens now? And they're like, well, another doctor's going to do your And I was like, nah, done. I am so done. And I was so angry. And that's when I said, you're going to have to get the boss to call me. I'm going to need the boss at this point to just give me a call because I'm incredulous at the mishandling, essentially. Anyway, the next day, another beautiful head nurse called.
Yeah, one of the head nurses. So they've got two head nurses at Monash.
Yeah. And they were basically, anyway, so she called and we had a huge, I think it was like 45 minutes. Like she unpacked, literally, we kind of packed that 90-minute conversation into a 45-minute one with her. And she listened, she made us feel heard and she listened and she was very kind and very respectful and very amazing. And I will say she absolutely admitted fault on the nurse situation. So she said, whether this occurs or not, but I'm Anna, like I'm going to make sure that it genuinely does happen, that when a woman now calls, so she's like, we'll write this up as policy and protocol, that, because I said, when a woman calls and she's vulnerable and emotional and like it's day one and later finds out via email, and the nurse knows. I said, you can't tell me the nurse doesn't know. And she goes, no, the nurse absolutely knows. If the doctor's away, we know. We know the dates. Like, we do know. And it's not hard to look them up or keep them, like, close by. So she did. She sort of, the one thing she did take full responsibility for as a clinic was that we shouldn't have had to have found out so many times that the doctor was away, and that should have been when we picked up the phone to say it's day one, yay, they would say to us personally, voice to voice, not via email later, and you know that they just didn't want to have that hard conversation. Hey, we're really excited for you, but we just want to let you know, actually, if you didn't already know, like, the doctor's actually away. So she said that's becoming like new policy and protocol, that when people call, if the doctor's away and it's clear that they don't know, that the nurse has to be the one to tell them the doctor's away. So that was like,
Yeah.
I was happy there was a change out of all of this fuckery.
But that should have been going on from the start. Like, especially like if you ring up in January, they should know what holidays is in January.
Yeah.
If they call up in February, he's got no holidays, they don't need to disclose because nothing's happening.
Yeah.
But if they know that he's away whenever day in January and someone calls up, they should be letting them know.
Totally.
And that's what they're getting changed. So
we're happy about that.
Then she said that they're now going to give 2 nurses to each patient now.
Yeah, but they'll basically say, because we said just don't say anything. Don't say that we've got one. If you even just said we've got a phenomenal or whatever, a brilliant team of nurses here. When you call, you will get a great nurse, blah, blah, blah. Like, anyway, she said, no, we can say that there's sort of like 2 appointed per patient. And I was like, I think that's a great idea. I think that will serve many.
And then she went and said that, so she was now going to be taking over ours.
She was, if we stayed.
Which we will still end up going through,
yeah.
Monash. So it'll be her and the other head nurse. So they're like, because they were like, oh, yeah, we fucked up. So we're going to give you
I think they just, I don't know if they want to admit, but it's like,
they know they fucked up.
Yeah.
It come down, it was literally like, it wasn't a fuck up. It was basically just come down to bad timing.
Bad luck.
Whenever we needed it, they were away or they weren't there or miscommunicated too. So,
but that's the story, guys. So, like I said, I knew it was going to be long. I didn't care. I wanted it on the mic. Like I said, I think a lot of women, lots of women had DM'd me and said, "Oh my God, finally, someone's actually talking up about their experience." And I'm like, "Fuck, it's so true." Like, no one, because it's also scary. We're still in the industry. We're still in.
But like everything, like everyone's got good experience, everyone's got bad experience, but people only like to share the good experiences.
Yeah.
So you've got a lot of stories out there that are bright and dandy. So when you have a bad experience, you're like, where's my story? Like, where's someone that's going through the same shit I'm going through that I can relate to? And that's just not out there. And I think it is now slowly becoming a story that people are starting to tell. So there are little stories you can find here and there, but it's still not there because, like everything, same with like people who gamble.
Yeah, sure. You don't talk about your losses.
Like no one talks about their losses and how bad it is, but the second they win, they're like, "Motherfucker, I'm up."
They're on that toxic sharing that, yeah.
But it's the same thing with IVF. Like people share their stories and their babies, and when it goes well, but when it goes bad, they're like, "Oh." It's like that shame behind it or something that like, oh, it didn't work out for me. But if people shared it, there will be more people out there that can relate to it.
Agree, baby. Well, my loves, that's where we're at. So that kind of ties us off now to we had our very first appointment with I call her Grace because it's Grace Private, Tina Fleming. Dr. Tina Fleming.
And she was wonderful.
She was fucking outstanding. We absolutely adored her. And you know what I loved? We're past 90 minutes now, so I'm trying to be quick. But she asked me, she's like, the first question she asked me were about my period. And she's one of the most renowned endometriosis doctors I found out on the coast. Didn't even mention it because she didn't have to, because she listened to me as a doctor and she didn't gaslight me into thinking I had it, when she can understand as a woman, if you probably don't carry all the symptoms, you more than likely won't have it. So I just felt so seen and so heard and so safe and so grateful. And she was a class act. Like we didn't tell all of that, but we were saying like we're swapping. Obviously, you have to.
Well, we gave her all our medical, so we sent through all our medical stuff from Monash through to her, and she took the time and fucking read it.
Wild.
And then we were trying to say like we've been in it for a while because we've gone through this journey of vasectomies, and I said we're only here like she goes, you're both probably really fertile, and we looked and we're like, yeah. And then I'm like, yeah, it's kind of my fault we're here. And she's like, no, we don't play the blame game.
I love that.
Like in IVF, we do not play the blame game. So if you're blaming yourself because you've had a vasectomy, is it then Anna's fault if she has miscarriage? I'm like, no. And she's like, well, that's why we don't play the blame game.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's where we're at.
That's where we're at. So we have had our first appointment, and now she's got all of our notes. Our embryos are still happy and safe at Monash. When I now get my next period, which will be in June, we're going to go for our second transfer. We'll see how we go, God willing. We'll share it. I know people kind of don't with their second and third because, yeah, it gets fucking vulnerable, and it's... But we're in it now, friends.
Yes, so stay on the journey.
We're in it now, so we may as well keep going. But
good, bad, terrible, fucking amazing. You're going to hear about it, so... Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. So, but I just want to say I want to wrap this up and just look down the barrel of the camera and say to any woman that is in IVF that has ever felt gaslit or misheard or misunderstood from their doctor and not self-advocated because you feel like the doctor does know best. And, yes, they do. They have incredible education behind them. Please also remember you know your body and you get to trust yourself and back yourself as well in this journey, and you get to use your voice, and you also get to say when you feel something's wrong or you just need something else from them, or you want to complain that like there's been some malpractice or you feel not treated fairly or whatever it is. Like I feel like in IVF, I feel like in any medical journey, people clam up and get scared about using their voice because doctors in the medical profession know best. But I just want to remind you that as much as that is true, yes, you also get to self-advocate along the way, no matter what, and you get to trust your body and know your body and do what's best for you along the way as well. So that is why I wanted to share the bigger, wider, longer story about our journey and just say like it hasn't been roses at all. But we're here, we're persevering. We've come out stronger, that's for damn sure. We've absolutely come out stronger, and we just can't wait until a fucking baby Patricevic is in our arms. They'll be here. I know they will. But anyway, my loves, until next time, I always look at my arm when I say this because I have it tattooed. But until next time, stay wild.